Greetings YouTube! So we are back with another Mass Effect video. So last time we found out that Saren came to this planet to kind of get some information from the Thorian, which was this plant-like creature that was taking over everybody's mind, and excuse me. With that information, he basically is trying to find a way to get a better connection to these visions and understand it a bit more, because he's trying to bring back the Reapers, which are, you know, this threat to the galaxy, hundreds of thousands of years in the making. You know, they seem to pop up every time civilizations hit a certain point, wipe them out, and make everything restart. So it seems like he's trying to bring the Reapers back. Yeah, so we're going to hop in, see what we can do to, you know, prevent him from, you know, wrecking the galaxy. But last time, oh, sorry, Tally, I didn't mean to stare right at your ass. But last time we ended up, you know, finishing off this little area, so we're going to head back to our ship, and I promised you guys some chatting with the companions. That way maybe we can get a slightly better connection with all of them, maybe, you know, maybe start to build a bond, kind of see who you guys like with them. So YouTube, you've been missing. I've been talking with Twitch chat about the Assassin's Creed games and just, you know, what my kind of feelings on those are. Damn, I think I'm heading the wrong way. Yep, I'm heading the wrong way. I want to go back towards the ship. This towards the ship. What we got going on? Elevator, stairs down to the tunnels. Normandy. I am going the right way. Heck, guys. But, yeah, so we've just been chatting about Assassin's Creed, so if you guys wanted to, you know thoughts and feelings on Assassin's Creed, you know, you can swing by the Twitch chat, and you can always ask some questions, you know, kind of see what, you know, what thoughts and feelings on over there. You guys can ask me some questions. I like to take time to, you know, kind of talk to you guys, see what your guys' feelings are on some things as well. So we got Twitch chat speculating as to where we want to go for the next Assassin's Creed game. And so I have always said that I think a great Assassin's Creed idea would be the samurai versus the ninjas. And I don't know, you know, how you want to play it story-wise, but put one of the sides as Templars, one of the sides as assassins, and you set it in feudal Japan, and you have, you know, that story going together. However, I think with how successful Ghost of Tsushima was, I don't think that Assassin's Creed is going to dare come near samurai and that kind of time period anytime soon. Because Ghost of Tsushima was extremely successful, and not only that, they're making a second one. So I don't see Assassin's Creed going in and kind of playing in a muddled market that I don't think that they believe they can necessarily be the number one in. I don't think that they're going to go in and play second potato.
Shore party. Decontamination
I think it'd be interesting to see them do it. However, I just don't see it happening.
Commander, you look pale. Are you suffering any ill effects from the cipher?
Well, I was just brain probed. Luckily, you know, not too bad. They just gave me some weird dreams. Definitely, you know, going to need to take some sleep meds or something, because, whew, it did a number on me.
My brain's been scrambled like an egg. How do you think I feel?
I might be able to help you. I am an expert on the Protheans. If I join my consciousness to yours, maybe we can make some sense of it.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. Let's spend...
Hurry, we don't have much time.
Let's spend some time inside each other's brains, chat. Let's get deep on in here.
Embrace eternity.
Alright. Okay, so she's showing me basically the same thing we saw last time. I was kind of worried because I'm not entirely sure, you know, with a lot of these scenes, you know,
That was incredible. All this time, all my research, yet I never dreamed. I am sorry. The images were so vivid. I never imagined the experience would be so intense. You are remarkably strong-willed, Commander. What you have been through, what you have seen, would have destroyed a lesser mind.
Come on, get to the point. What did you see?
The beacon on Eden Prime must have been badly damaged. Large parts of the vision are missing. The data transferred into the Commander's mind is incomplete.
So, I still see your question in the Twitch chat of where I think the next Assassin's Creed should go. Just as soon as we get out of this conversation, I have a lot of thoughts on that. So I'm going to finish this up, and then once we are kind of walking around the ship, I'll explain where I think Assassin's Creed should go.
What's our next move?
I was able to interpret the data relayed through your vision. What was there, at least. But something was missing. Saren must have the missing information. Maybe he found another beacon. If we can find the missing data from your vision, I can... I am sorry. The joining is exhausting. I should go to the medical bay and lie down for a moment.
Dr. Chakwas should take a look at you.
That will not be necessary. I just need some rest. Somewhere quiet.
We're done here. Dismissed.
I've sent off the Pharos report, Commander. You want me to patch you through to the Council?
Heck no, I don't want to talk to those guys.
Aye, aye, sir.
Alright, so, in short, I mean, do I want to do this the quick way, or do I want to, like, take you guys through a cinematic experience? Alright, so, imagine, if you will, you know, thick jungle, you know, we settle in on some characters who, you know, it's hot, they're sweating, they're kind of dabbing away at sweat on their brow, you know, they're sipping on some water from their canteens and flasks, and you see behind them, jumping through the trees, you know, shadowy, you know, figures, individuals that the people in the clearing can't see, and they're kind of set up camp. You see sitting there this big metal, you know, like bulbous chest piece armor. You see a helmet sitting there, and as, you know, the camera kind of pans across from, you know, the people sitting there down to the helmet, you hear like the camp start to call out an alarm, and then, you know, shadow and then blood spurts over the helmet, and we center an Assassin's Creed within the within South America during the conquistadors coming over and kind of exploring. I think it'd be interesting to see if maybe, you know, an assassin had made it over previously and he has been hanging out with like the Aztecs or the Mayans or that kind of thing, and he has like trained some people and that kind of stuff. I want to, you know, kind of see rituals. I want to see that culture and that kind of thing, and I want to see the struggle of these invaders, the Templars, coming in trying to find, you know, maybe the assassin came over to South America with, you know, a piece of Eden or something like that. I want to see the Templars coming over after him because they have told Spain that, like, hey, there is gold there and we want to go over to the New World for riches. But in reality, it's the Templars, and they're wanting to, you know, get this Apple of Eden that's hidden somewhere with the Aztecs or the Mayans or that kind of stuff. Just that way, you know, I think it would be really interesting to see, you know, combat between those two groups. I think it'd be interesting, like Assassin's Creed style, to have like those big bosses of like the conquistadors with like the super heavy metal armor, and, you know, they're slower, but they got like, you know, they're just tanks. So I think that could be super fun. I personally think that's where I would like to see Assassin's Creed go.
Hey, Commander, next time we touch down, let's try not to park the ship in a colony of mutant zombies. Just thinking out loud here.
All right, Joker, I'll take it under consideration.
How's the Normandy performing? Is she everything they said she'd be?
She's the best ship in the fleet, if you've got a pilot who knows how to handle her. Balance isn't what you'd expect. Takes a while to get used to that oversized drive core we got stuffed in the back, and her power can sneak up on you if you're not careful. The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average Alliance pilot, Commander. Lucky for you, I'm anything but average.
So, Twitch chat, what do you think of my idea for the next Assassin's Creed? What do you guys think? Because I know the classic is to say, oh, I want ninjas or samurai in Japan. But think outside the box. I want to see what your guys' ideas are, other parts of history you'd like to see explored.
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You did a background check on me, didn't you? Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told the captain. You want me as your pilot. I'm not good. I'm not even great. I am the best damn helmsman in the Alliance fleet. Top of my class in flight school, I earned that. All those commendations in my file, I earned every single one. Those weren't given to me as charity for my disease.
What are you talking about? Are you sick?
You mean you didn't know? Oh, crap. Okay, I've got Vrolik syndrome, brittle bone disease. The bones in my legs never develop properly. They're basically hollow, too much force and they'll shatter. Even with crutches and my leg braces, it's hard to get around. One wrong step and crack! It's very dramatic, but I've learned to manage my condition, Commander. Put the Normandy in my hands and I'll make her dance for you. Just don't ask me to get up and dance unless, you like the sound of snapping shin bones.
I love Joker so much. He's just such a sassy character, and I honestly don't know if they would have been able to pull it off with a different voice actor other than Seth Green. I feel like he just so perfectly just embraces the character that is Joker.
Why does everyone call you Joker?
It's a lot shorter than saying Alliance Flight Lieutenant Jeff Moreau. Plus, I love to make little children laugh.
I think that's a lie.
I was just thinking how much you remind me of Santa Claus.
Look, I didn't pick the name. One of the instructors in flight school used to bug me about never smiling. She started calling me Joker, and it stuck.
Oh, man.
Why didn't you ever smile?
Hey, I worked my ass off in flight school, Commander. The world's not gonna hand you anything if you go around grinning like an idiot. By the end of the year, I was the best pilot in the academy, even better than the instructors, and everybody knew it. They'd all got their asses kicked by the sickly kid with the creaky little legs. One guess who was smiling at graduation?
I need to know more about this Vrolik syndrome if I'm putting my ship in your hands.
Yeah, of course you do. It's an extremely rare condition. Nobody knows exactly what causes it. Genetic, maybe. It's treatable, but there's no cure. They classify my case as moderate to severe. I was born with over a dozen fractures, hip, thighs, ankles. My bones were already breaking in the womb. 100 years ago, I wouldn't have survived past my first year. Lucky for me, modern medical science has turned me into a productive member of society.
So looking over at the Twitch chat, their ideas for a new Assassin's Creed, we have present-day Canada. I'm not too sure about that one. You're going to have to explain to me what you're thinking on that one. Honestly, I think a current-day anything would be really cool. I think the problem with that is with it being a Ubisoft title, I think that if you do anything modern, it's going to be too prone to ending up like a Watch Dogs. And so I unfortunately don't see them ever doing anything too modern, which is kind of sad because I think that the combat style and that kind of thing could have done really well in like a modern system. Especially if you give your assassin something that like he disables guns or something like that. Like whether it just be he has got like some, like button he pushes that just like EMP blasts and disables, guns, some reason or another. I think it would be a cool idea to have a modern one. I've always, just thought the parkour would be pretty sick to see happening in modern environments. We got some other ones they said was Ancient America, maybe some Native Americans. See, I think that would be an interesting one just because I think it could be interesting to see if you did along those lines. I think it would be interesting to see if you had like maybe Templars like kind of being like working with like railroad companies and that kind of thing. How like it's so crazy because like old United States stuff, it like companies basically, I mean, Some people would argue they still do, but especially back then, companies had more power than the government did, and so like railroad companies and that kind of stuff, it's just insane, like the amount of power they could have. So I think it'd be really interesting if you had like a railroad company, like ran by the Templars that's basically trying to get across, the West and is trying to get over to like California or that kind of thing, building a railroad across the United States, and you play as like a cowboy assassin who's like trying to disrupt them and that kind of stuff. That could definitely be cool. Dip down into Mexico and stuff for that. I think the only problem is if you ever touch cowboy stuff, you're going to get hit with the whole, everybody's such a big fan of Red Dead Redemption and Rockstar games in general, that I think if at this point there are like certain companies that if you touch a property or a certain time, everybody's just going to compare you to that. So while I say cowboys would be cool, I don't think Ubisoft will ever make that mistake. Something in Russia. Yeah, the problem with Russia is I don't know enough about Russian history to really pick what a cool time period or like what a fun game would be in that. Yeah, I feel like if you did a modern one, it could end up looking too much like, and that's the problem is Ubisoft has so many games set in like so many different kind of environments that I think it just ends up being really unfortunate because it feels almost like they would like step on themselves so much. You're thinking pre-Cowboys. Yeah, yeah, I think it could definitely be interesting. I feel like that so are you thinking even before Assassin's Creed 3?
You're not gonna break a bone trying to fly the ship, are you?
I don't fly with my feet, Commander, so I'm fine as long as I'm in this chair. I gotta be real careful when I get up to take a piss, though. I can do my job as well as anyone on the ship. Better, actually. So don't worry about it.
I have to go.
All right, Joker,
All right,
we'll let
see
you
ya.
go. All right, so chat's saying they also don't know a bunch about Russian history, but it would be a cool environment, lots of land to go through. I definitely think that would be super interesting to see. I just worry that like I don't know, maybe I haven't looked at a map of Russia in a while, but like a solid like 80% of Russia is just like straight up tundra. So I think it might not end up being quite as big as we would expect over in Russia. I don't know. That's definitely a cool one because it would be. I thought that was the fun part about the this last Assassin's Creed is spending time in the snow and that kind of stuff.
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school. Earth always seemed boring to me. Too safe, too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with exotic adventure. I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse, and the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
Sometimes I think about opening a private practice back on Earth. Or maybe taking a position at one of the new med centers out in the colonies. But there's something special about working on soldiers. If I left the Alliance now, I'd feel like I was abandoning them.
So we got hop back over to Twitch chat. So they're saying, so they were talking, yeah, so definitely pre-Assassin's Creed 3. So Assassin's Creed 3 kind of takes place around the time you're looking at the Revolutionary War. You definitely have a lot of George Washington, that kind of stuff in it. You definitely fight for some freedom against the British occupation in Assassin's Creed 3. So they said they were thinking more so just like kind of an Assassin's Creed game taking place more so before England came over to visit, which definitely would be an interesting one. I think it could also be an interesting one to touch on just because I know the Vikings, came over and visited at a certain point before, the British and, England, Spain, all that kind of thing ever came over. And so I think it would be an interesting touchstone to go from the Vikings to America before, it became America. I also like your idea of revisiting the Middle East, and I think that it would be, or so you were saying with how these games are, you could easily see it taking place in the Middle East. I definitely think it'd be interesting to revisit like the time period of the first Assassin's Creed, just because it's so old at this point, and it'd be really interesting to get like a really big map and that kind of stuff.
How well do you know the lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission, but he has an impressive service record, over a dozen special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
Tell me about
What does
L2.
that have to do with it?
We had somebody mention
Well,
this
most
earlier.
biotics now use the L3 implants. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration. Sometimes there are complications.
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain. There's a long list of horrific side effects. Caden's lucky. He just gets migraines.
So it's kind of interesting because they say most people are set up with an L3 implant, and I don't know if he just like has the old school one because he's like super old school, or if it doesn't seem like it has a benefit. So it's kind of interesting to see that he has this older.
How did you end up serving
one.
on an Alliance ship?
I already asked her this.
I enlisted right out. But
That's my bad,
humanity
guys.
needs the
All right.
Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
Alrighty, it was nice talking to you, Dr. Chakwa. So I like Dr. Chakwa. She's a fun character. She always, she's one of those nice like side ones to where you don't have to talk to her like every time in between stuff. So that's pretty cool. She just, she's got a little bit every once in a while. It's nothing super intense. I forgot that this is where my quarters is in this game. Alright, so we got Caden there. Let's go talk to him for a sec, see what he's got to say.
Anything you need, Commander?
That was a lot of sexual tension right there. Just a lot of silence and a lot of sexual tension between these two guys.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
I'm glad there aren't many aliens like the Thorian. I don't think my stomach could take it. One of my cousins has an agribusiness. I was thinking of calling him. Maybe he can get some shipments into Pharos. I mean, now that they're cut off from the company.
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
Is this an official evaluation, Commander? Or off the record?
Tell me whatever.
Alenko, when it's just you and me, you can consider it off the record.
That's a generous attitude. Okay. I think there's something wrong with all this. This Saren is trading people to aliens for some kind of lost knowledge. But we can't get backup from the Council? Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the wall here, but someone isn't reading it.
The
I mean,
Council
I
doesn't
agree.
want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the Council should see this coming. Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in Bot.
tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled. There are worse results of accidental exposure to element 0 in a wound. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up with.
Seems like you beat the odds. How many didn't make it?
Out of 100, maybe 60 have no effect. 30 suffer adverse effects, little things like brain cancer. The other 10 show enough ability to augment with implants. Not always permanent, though. not like the cancer. Next thing you know, you're out on Jump Zero. And how's a kid supposed to deal with that? A station at the edge of human space.
Jump Zero's a long way from home. What was it like?
The grand gateway to humanity looks a lot better in the vids. But that's my own baggage, Commander. No bearing on this.
Alenko, there's no regulation that says you can't be friends with your commander.
I appreciate that, Commander. I just don't want you to think that I'm a whiner. Besides, I've got my past squared away.
I always find it really fun to talk to the biotic people. They always have like just the most tragic backstories because, you know, like in order to actually have biotics and that kind of thing, you really got to go through some fucked up shit. Like you said, you know, 6 out of 100 people are going to not have any effects. 30 of those 100 are going to end up, you know, with some pretty adverse reactions like cancer and that kind of stuff. And then, you know, the other, was that 64? The other 64 are just going to end up dead. So that definitely, it's definitely kind of, you know, messed up. I really enjoy Caden. It's just so funny because like I'm not a oopsies, hello. There we go. I'm not the biggest fan of Karth in Knights of the Old Republic, but there's just something so nostalgic about hearing that voice actor, and it's like really kind of sad because you hear him playing Caden, and I can't tell if he's just like purposefully trying to do it, but it sounds like his voice has aged so much since Karth, and it kind of hurts a little to hear him as well as it being happy. So we got Twitch chat saying, how would you feel if they did another pirate one? Different place than Black Flag. Okay, so here's the thing. If they do a pirate one, that's going to be different than Black Flag, we need to hop over to the Asian pirates that were like super successful navigating those seas and that kind of thing, where they would have like straight up like armada fleets that just like dwarfed anything that the Caribbean pirates ever managed to achieve. I think that that would be a super cool one to do. And also I just think that the look and the style of their ships were just super awesome. So I think that would be a really cool one to do if we were to hop back into pirates in a different location. But and you know, this is another one of those, Ubisoft already has a game touching on that. It's going to be canceled like any second at this point, but they do have Skull and Bones, which is a pirate game that they are working on. It's not, as far as last time it was talked about, it's been restarted so many times at this point, who knows what it's looking like. But last time they talked about it, it wasn't a whole like you can get off your ship and that kind of thing. It was just primarily going to be on the ship and that kind of stuff. So it would be interesting. It's so hard because, like I said, Ubisoft has its hands in so much stuff that it's kind of hard to find a game that's not stepping on itself, because if you put out a Assassin's Creed that's set in pirate times and then you also release Skull and Bones, you just cannibalized your own game. Like that game becomes pointless.
Shepard, what can I do for you?
What's your story, Rex?
There's no story. Go ask the Quarian if you want stories.
Rex is so fucking cranky. He's such an old man.
You Krogan live for centuries. Don't tell me you haven't had a few interesting adventures.
Well, there was this one time the Turians almost wiped out our entire race. That was fun.
They tried the same with us, but we fought them off.
It's not the same.
Yeah, man, this is just another one of those, I fucking love Mass Effect and its like storylines, because this is another one of those things that they came up with that like not only it, and I try and be so vague because I want you guys to experience like the reveals and that kind of thing, same as, you know, happened to me the first time. But like the storyline of what happened to the Krogan is just absolutely insane, and it's just so well thought of. It's just so sad because like at one point I would argue that BioWare had some of the best writers in the video game industry. And I'm not trying to shit on whoever they have there now, but a lot of the stories and stuff that they're trying to tell, they're working on the foundation of those that came before them. And it feels sometimes like they don't respect it, or it's hard because, it also very much could be the corporate overlords, kind of telling them what kind of game to put out and that kind of stuff. So I don't want to disparage whoever's writing the current BioWare games that much, because I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But, like, the stuff that they used to do, like, these storylines, like, whether it be the stuff that they came up with in Knights of the Old Republic, or the stuff that happens in Mass Effect, like the storylines, the plots, the drama, like I know that Mass Effect is supposed to be getting turned into a TV series, and I'm very scared. I'm hesitant about that. But honestly, it could be a drama that easily rivals stuff like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, just in the aspect of, like, some of the storylines and, like, plot ideas of shit that has happened in the history of Mass Effect is just so insane, and I love this game so much for it. And it's the same thing with Dragon Age. Like, the Dragon Age story is also really cool. Like, the history, it's so rare, I feel like, that you have a video game that the history and the things that have happened are almost as good, if not better, as the actual game that you're playing.
It seems similar enough to me.
So your people were infected with a genetic mutation? An infection that makes only a few in 1,000 children survive birth? And I suppose it's destroying your entire species?
Okay, so Twitch chat jokingly said Assassin's Creed Star Wars. And so here's the thing. That is happening. Ubisoft is currently, because EA lost the rights to solely develop Star Wars games, Ubisoft is working on a Star Wars game right now as we speak. So just imagine. Like, that is happening. Like, it's not going to be an Assassin's Creed, but, if you look at how much Ubisoft games play like each other, and, like, how successful Assassin's Creeds were, and the fact that they are a lot of times, like, a melee-type combat, like, just let that hype you up for how great a Star Wars made by Ubisoft could be. They're saying it wasn't a joke. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get, like, a true Assassin's Creed / Star Wars. Bounty Hunter Assassin's Creed would be nuts. God, now it just sounds like we're out here writing fanfic. Okay, so.
I suppose it isn't all the same.
I don't expect you to understand, but don't compare humanity's fate with the Krogan.
Sorry, Rex. I wasn't trying to get you upset.
Your ignorance doesn't upset me, Shepard. As for the Krogan, I gave up on them long ago. The Genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us.
So, now that we're kind of talking to Rex and he's kind of laying it out for us, I just basically want to come in and say, so the Turians, which are the same people that Saren is, it's the same race that Garrus is. So they, so on top of originally having a war with the humans before eventually, we opted for peace and kind of joined, the galaxy, they had a war with the Krogan. And the Krogan were so strong and so warlike that they had the Solarians, which are another race. They're like the super smart, like brainy race. They had them create a genetic mutation that they then infected the Krogans with, to where I think it's only 1 in 1,000 children is born alive. And so, it's the whole thing of you go through the entire process of pregnancy, but only 1 in 1,000 of those kids is actually going to live. And the Krogan are so warlike that they, constantly were at war with themselves, and the only way they stopped warring was they turned that outwards and they started warring with the galaxy. And so once this happened and they were basically defeated, they kind of turned on themselves and started killing themselves off. And so that's why he kind of says that the extinction is partially on the Genophage, but in reality it's kind of on the Krogan for the fact that they won't stop killing each other.
What can you tell me about the Genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it. All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible. Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far.
Okay, so it's even worse than the statistic
Every
I was throwing
Krogan
out
is
there.
infected, everyone. And no one's rushing to find a cure.
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist?
It's a fair
Ask a
point.
Krogan. Would he rather find a cure for the Genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
It's rough.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
I think the Krogan are a beautifully tragic people. They're just so cool, and that whole storyline of a galaxy literally putting a race to extinction because of how strong and warlike they were, that they just tried to come up with a deterrent, and then the Krogan just still refused to back down, and to this day are still like wiping themselves out. It's just a story that is so creatively thought up. And I think part of the reason that it's even as good as it is because of the individuals and the people that you talk to. You have the Solarians that, express regret at having to have done that. You have the Krogans who just are so devastated and hurt by it. And then you have, the Turians who, try and hide behind like a false bravado of like, oh, well, we had to do it. If we wouldn't do it, then, Krogans would have overtaken the galaxy. And so it's such an interesting and beautifully thought out concept.
Commander, nice work out there. I knew working with a Spectre would be better than life at CSEC.
Have you worked with a Spectre before?
Well, no, but I know what they're like. Spectres make their own rules. You're free to handle things your way. At CSEC, you're buried by rules. The damn bureaucrats are always on your back.
I love Garrus.
Being a Spectre does have its advantages.
Exactly my point. If I'm trying to take down a suspect, it shouldn't matter how I do it, as long as I do it. But CSEC wants it done their way. Protocol and procedure come first. That's why I left.
So you just quit because you didn't like the way they do things?
There's more to it than that. It didn't start out bad, but as I rose in ranks, I got saddled with more and more red tape. CSEC's handling of Saren was typical. I just couldn't take it anymore. I hate leaving.
You did the right thing. Life's too short to sit around waiting for things to happen.
Yeah, you're probably right. Either way, I plan to make the most of this. And without CSEC headquarters looking over my shoulder, well, maybe I can get the job done my way for a change.
So I'm going to finish up talking to Garrus about this because somebody in the chat said something that I want to touch on and talk about because I think it's a great topic.
As long as you do your job well, you're free to go about your business as you see fit.
Thank you, Commander.
Alrighty, so I am not sure where Liara's at. I thought she was down here. Oh wait, she might be back this way. Alright, so I actually want to finish up talking to Liara before I hop over and start discussing, I don't know, this is Tally. I don't know where Liara's at. Alright. Yeah, so we're gonna have these conversations with these characters. We're gonna wrap these up, wrap up this YouTube video, and then we're going to, on Twitch, we're gonna run through this conversation right here. Because I think this is a great conversation to have. It's one that I want to talk about.
Understand why you humans have been so successful. I had no idea Alliance vessels were so advanced.
The Normandy's a prototype. Cutting-edge technology.
A month ago, I was patching a makeshift fuel line into a converted tug ship in the flotilla. Now, I'm sitting on board one of the most advanced vessels in Citadel space. I have to thank you again for bringing me along. Traveling on a vessel like this is a dream come true for me.
I had no idea you found ship technology so interesting.
It comes with being a Quarian. The migrant fleet is the key to the survival of my people. Ships are our most valuable resource. But we don't have anything like this. We make do with cast-offs and second-hand equipment. We just try to keep them running for as long as we can. Some of the fleet's larger vessels date all the way back to our original flight from the Geth.
I can't believe your fleet's still using ships that are 3 centuries old.
They're constantly being repaired, modified, and refitted. They aren't pretty, but they work. Mostly. We've tried to make ourselves as independent as possible on the flotilla. Grow our own food, mine, and process our own fuel. But some things we just can't make on our own. A patch to maintain the hull integrity requires raw materials we just don't have. That's why our pilgrimages are so important.
I want to talk to her about all of this stuff. Let's start with the
I want
pilgrimage.
to know more about the pilgrimage.
When my people reach maturity, we leave our birth ships and seek acceptance with a new crew. It's necessary to maintain genetic diversity among the fleet. But no ship wants to accept someone who will be a burden on them. So, to prove our worth, we embark on a pilgrimage. We set out alone, leaving the flotilla and our families behind us. We only return once we have found something of value we can bring back to the fleet. This is presented as a gift to the captain of the respective ship we wish to join. If the gift is accepted, we are welcomed into the crew.
Can a captain choose to reject the gift?
That doesn't happen often. Most captains are eager to increase the size of their crew. It increases their own standing in our society. Even when the gift is not particularly valuable, the captain usually accepts it out of a sense of tradition. However, there is a stigma to presenting a substandard gift. It's not the best way to make a good impression on a new community. Most pilgrims don't return until they find something worthwhile.
I can't believe they just send you off alone.
It's not like they just cast us out. Before we leave, we are given lessons in how to survive outside the flotilla, and given gifts to help us on our journey. We also receive implants to fight off sickness and disease. Generations of living in an isolated and highly controlled environment have left our immune systems weaker than most. By the time we leave the fleet, we are well equipped for the pilgrimage. This is a rite of passage for all Quarians. If it were dangerous, our numbers would suffer. Virtually every pilgrimage ends with a triumphant return and the ritual presentation of the gift to one of the fleet's captains.
I want to talk about something else.
Like what?
Let's talk about the Quarians.
Tell me
now.
about your people.
Our lives aren't easy. Resources are scarce, and we are constantly on the move. Everything we do must in some way contribute to the continuation of the migrant fleet. There are 17 million Quarians in the flotilla, and each of us relies on the others for survival. The bonds among my people are strong. Unfortunately, we have had to surrender many of the freedoms and civil liberties other species take for granted.
What kind of freedoms?
Well, it's illegal for parents to have more than one child. If our population grows too much, it would strain our resources to their breaking point. Of course, we also can't allow our numbers to become too few. If our population is in decline, the rule against single births is temporarily repealed. In extreme cases of population decline, incentives are even offered to encourage multiple births, though the Conclave hasn't had to take such measures in nearly a century.
That's your government.
The Conclave is our civilian branch of government. Each ship can elect a representative to serve on the Conclave and make decisions that affect the fleet as a whole. On matters that affect an individual ship, however, the captain has the final say. It's a tradition that dates back to the early days, when the fleet was governed by martial law. Fortunately, most captains nowadays are smart enough to have an elected council from their crew to give them advice and guidance.
So the ultimate power rests with elected officials.
In practice, the conclave and the respective council for each ship tend to set the rules that govern our daily lives. But in theory, we are still under military jurisdiction. The 5 top-ranking military officials in the fleet serve on the Admiralty Board. These 5 have the power to overrule any decision by the Conclave in case of emergency. To do so requires unanimous agreement among the Admiralty, and they can only do this once. After that, the entire board must resign their posts. It's a safeguard that served us well. In nearly 3 centuries, the Admiralty Board has only overruled the Conclave 4 times.
Alright, so now we're going to dive into the big one in regards to the Quarians, the Geth.
I want to know more about the Geth.
I doubt I can tell you anything you don't already know. It's been almost 3 centuries since they drove my people into exile. All I know is the story of their origins. What they were when we created them, and how they turned on us.
Interesting.
The Geth were originally created to serve as an automated manual labor force. Initially, their intelligence was as limited as any VI. Over time, we made small modifications to their programming to allow them to perform more varied and complex tasks, bringing them closer and closer to true AI status.
How come the Council didn't step in and stop you?
This wasn't true AI research. We may have been skirting the bounds of the law, but we never did anything that was actually illegal. The changes were so insignificant, so gradual, that we were able to control them. Or so we thought. But one thing we underestimated was the power of the neural network. A million Geth thinking simultaneously created an inherently unstable matrix.
So, the Geth share brain power?
Many of the Geth's logic systems were designed to work in concert with other nearby Geth. Basically, the more of them you have in the group, the smarter they are.
What made them rebel?
As we built more and more Geth, their effective intelligence became more sophisticated, more abstract. One day, a Geth began to ask its Quarian overseer questions about the nature of its existence. Am I alive? Why am I here? What is my purpose? As you can imagine, this caused a near panic among my people.
What did you do?
It was inevitable the newly sentient Geth would rebel against their situation. We knew they would rise up against us, so we acted first. A general order went out across all Quarian-controlled systems to permanently deactivate all Geth. The Geth responded to this order violently.
You didn't really think they'd just let you destroy them without a fight, did you?
The hope was that most of the Geth would still be little more than machines, incapable of organized resistance. But they had progressed much further than anyone anticipated. The war was long and bloody. Millions upon millions of Quarians died at their hands. In the end, we were forced to flee our own homeworld. We feared the Geth would pursue us, but they never came beyond the Veil. Now we drift through space, exile searching for a way to reclaim what was once ours.
I should go.
See you later.
Alrighty, so I think after that conversation we're going to, so we'll save Liara for next time. So we're going to pop this up, we're going to come over here, and I'm going to say a quick goodbye to YouTube before we start discussing over on the Twitch stream a topic somebody brought up. Alright, so YouTube, thank you for watching this part of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, maybe share it with a friend, get them tuned into the series. If you want to watch live, you can come over and watch the whole thing over on twitch.tv/GlintingRuffian. If you want to watch highlight videos that we put out, that's going to be over on TikTok at GlintingRuffian as well. If you want the notifications of when we're going live, I try and do my best to tweet them out before the streams, and that's just going to be over on Twitter, also at GlintingRuffian. I appreciate you guys, tuning in to watch these. I'd appreciate, if you, followed, liked, hearted, whatever it is on the platform that you're choosing to watch on. I would appreciate if you watched on all of them, but, if you just want to watch on YouTube, then I appreciate, if you subscribe, like, leave a comment. We did a little bit of talking about Assassin's Creed this time. So, maybe comment where you would like to see a next Assassin's Creed happen. But still, now that we've gotten a little bit of talking with the companions, let me know what companion you're liking. Who are you feeling? Who do you want to make sure we keep talking to? Who do you want, to come with us in these next upcoming videos? But, last thing I'm going to say is, once again, thank you for watching, and goodbye.